Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing the top 10 Kickstarters of the month. So before we jump into this, I do have a Kickstarter of my own called Hairology. It's an anthology all about hair with some wonderful creators, including Sterling Gates, who's worked on Supergirl and the Flash television show, and also a forward from the legendary Gail Simone. So hopefully guys could go check that out. I also have a couple of friends who have Kickstarters, so let me shout those out first, and then we'll jump into the top 10. So first up is Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. This is from my friend Clay. He does such a good job of putting horror on its head, so definitely go check out Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. Next up is Rancidville. If you enjoy teen mysteries, go check this one out. I love that, John's been working on this for such a long time, and just seeing how this saga has continued and grown throughout Kickstarter and his work on this book. Then moving on to Sunmaker. Sunmaker, it has a very video game style to the book, so if you like RPG, this one's definitely for you. And this is actually the end of Ryan's saga for this one, so you definitely don't want to miss that. And then moving on to one of the kings of Kickstarter, Charlie Stickney, who is doing Glarien. It's actually short stories for Glarien, and it's in the White Ash universe as well. And I like just seeing him doing something different with a franchise that already has a fan base, like Glarien and White Ash. But having these short stories to entice the fan base that already exists, and then also garner even more fans for this book. And last but not least is In the Land of the Dragon from my really good friend Brant. He is a publisher for Last Ember Press, so he did not write this book. He actually has a creative team that's part of this publisher that created this book from Italy. And I love that. I love seeing that with Kickstarter as well. A lot of times we just see Kickstarters of the writer or artist working on that book, but to see a whole publishing company form through Kickstarter, I think is really wonderful as well. Now let's move on to our top 10. Number 10 for me is Witchblade. I have not been silent about how much I enjoy seeing bigger companies and bigger franchises join Kickstarter. It gives the opportunity for those bigger franchises to find a different audience, and then it brings the opportunity for Kickstarter to have more visibility, to get more fans onto the platform. So I think it's a win-win for both. And to see that this is volume 3 already, that Top Cow's done so many projects like this, I think is really wonderful. And I like Witchblade a lot, so win-win for me as well. Moving on to number 10 is A Thing Called Truth. This is actually kind of in the same vein. So this started out as a direct market Image Comics book. It got canceled. So to finish up their arc, they are doing a Kickstarter. And I think it's wonderful to see hopefully those direct market people come to Kickstarter, but then have the opportunity for something that could have been canceled and never finished, be able to come to life and tell that story still. Moving on to number 8, which is Sweet Little Resistance Magical Girl Hangout comic. With Magical Girl books, you don't think about it, but they're always very stylized. They're very much about the action and cute action. But you don't really get to see those grounded moments as often that aren't so stylized. And that's something I enjoyed about this book, and what I saw is like, cool, we're just seeing these girls hang out, having some coffee. All right, moving on to number 7, which is Amber Adams. So Amber Adams is something I normally wouldn't be as interested in because I don't like sci-fi very often, but I do like a good grounded story. So this is about a girl just trying to figure out her family history, and the artwork was really good for this one as well, so that definitely drew me in. Moving on to number 6, which is Super Best Friend. This is the last issue of Jason Inman's saga for this book, and I've really enjoyed it. I really like the idea of putting everything you know about superheroes on its head, and just you see the love that Jason has for superheroes bled through this narrative. Moving on to number 5, which is Octopus, a Memoir of Flailing. I really love seeing autobiographies on Kickstarter, and the thumbnail for this is so gorgeous. You have those pinks that really pop out at you, and if you want to know anything about Kickstarter, the thumbnail is one of the most important aspects of Kickstarter. So to have that kind of draw your eyes, like, oh, I really want to click on this, and then you get the personal autobiography mention of it all, and that really helps to make you gravitate towards this project. Moving on to number 4, which is Amongst the Stars Anthology. As someone who runs anthologies, of course I wanted to give love to another anthology. And I like the little twist here. So it's not just a romance story, it's a romance story in space. So you're having a genre bend to it, to stories you don't really get to see in comics very often, romance. Moving on to number 3, which is Sync issues 1 through 11. 11 issues. That's crazy. You do not see that very often on Kickstarter. And as I mentioned, I do love a good long saga on Kickstarter. And I love horror, and I really love the vibe of this book. It's very haunting. The visuals and the designs are very haunting. It's about vampires, crime. How can you go wrong with that? Moving on to number 2, which is Teddy Scares. This concept really drew me in. It kind of has like this Toy Story 3 vibe to it, where this teddy bear gets thrown out and you're like, okay, what happens after that? And it has this horror vibe attached to it as well. It was just a really unique concept that I feel like just lives on Kickstarter. It is something that feels so Kickstarter to me. So definitely go check that one out. Number 1 for me is Terry Moore's comic book. Terry Moore is one of the biggest independent comic creators ever. The way he's been able to make a business through the direct market, through just him being the writer, artist, everything put together has been phenomenal. And, in this era of comics, Kickstarter is such a big deal when it comes to independent comics. So to see such a big creator that was very driven by the direct market go into Kickstarter is just so important. And I hope this is not his last book. It's doing very well. It's an art book, actually. It's a not safe for work art book that I think works very well for his style and the creations that he makes. So hopefully you guys go check out all those projects. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.